Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay. Welcome back to the LPL. Now, for Rare Adam and OMG, of course, we're going to welcome you into this very nicely and slowly, but we have had some technical issues, so we are straight into pick ban. My name's Hysterics. I will eventually be joined by Lyric as soon as we shore up those issues. For now, I'm going to take you through pick and ban by myself as we walk through this one. Rare Adam on blue, OMG on red. And since we've already gone through things really fast, I just want to highlight what we know about these two teams running into it. Leyan with the Nidalee there, a very crucial pick that we've talked about many times before. Seeing the Lucian come out as well, already bit of tempo based into this composition. OMG on the other side, expecting to see things like Syndra from Wuming, which will be locked in the end. Again, a bit of apology for making you guys wait. And we'll get Lyric in here. He'll talk to us a little bit about the comps as we get into the game and as we get set up. But for now, take a deep breath and just learn with me on this one, alright? As we go into the second ban phase, and what we've seen already from OMG is pretty crucial bans against a team like RA. You're expecting to always see this Zoe banned out against FoFo, one of his best champions. Leyan getting targeted towards Udyr and Lilia, champions that can really rely on the early game tempo, farm up, and kind of create the storm around that priority mid lane. So I like the bans here from OMG targeting that jungle pull. On the other side for Rare Adam, Eric yet without a champion. He's been a big Kaisa player, which is why this first pick of Kaisa takeaway was really nice. The Xayah ban by Rare Adam as well is pretty much the direction we're expecting. I expect to see maybe another target ban towards Eric. Things like the Samira are still up and available in a composition like this that has a pretty decent front line, pretty good disengage. Samira could fit in really nicely, so I'd expect to see that from RA to finish off the second ban. OMG, in the meantime, part of their engage actually taken away. That's something that I think I'll be talking to Lyric about when he gets in here, is that there is not too much engage on the side of RA, and with a composition that has Gragas, Olaf, even the Syndra, there are a lot of tools to kind of disarm RA from getting anywhere nearby. So, as I mentioned before, Samira will be taken, and that means Eric, his champion pool is slimmed out really nicely here. I would look at things like, maybe we go back towards the center, use range of the Syndra. Again, you've got that front line, so I think center would work nicely here if you want to pick up the AD carry, but support pool also can come through. Sivir as well, right? Use the mobility of Gragas and Olaf and introduce more tempo into this comp. And you've got nice scaling advantage over the composition of RA too, so for OMG, we leave support to that last pick, and it means for RA, now you got to put your cards on the table, and I would expect Hung to go back to one of his big champions in the Alistar, excuse me. In the past, Hung has been a big Nautilus player, really big on the engaged champions, and Olaf fits into there really nicely. Excuse me, Alistar. I don't know why I'm getting the two mixed up. And still haven't got Lyric on the line. It feels like I'm missing, you know, my partner here, right? Like, I'm left on an island, and all I have is a coconut, but unfortunately, there's no rum in there. What's the point? Coconut juice sucks. Actually, coconut milk's okay, but yeah, coconut juice tastes like bum. Top lane though. All right, Cube going for this. This is a standard. All right, I'm glad to bring us back on before I get silenced. They'll be like, no. Solo cast for Hysterics is worse than just having no audio at all, because the things he say will make us liable. Cube going into Sion, you know, that partners up some of the engage with the Alistar, so I think this rounds out RA's comp really nicely. You expect to see the poke of Leyan and kind of setting up FoFo early on. There's no CC between these two in the mid lane, but there is a lot of burst potential, so you know, you expect to see this comp trying to ramp up through that mid lane. Maybe looks bottom lane priority as well. On the other side for OMG, a comp that scales really nicely. It can utilize things like the Aatrox for these flanks and head straight towards the Lucian and the Kaisa to I guess, you know, really high mobile AD carries who, with range, kind of mid to low range too, especially for Lucian. So new with the flanking angle is going to be really big here in these fights, but I feel like there's a lot of scaling on the side. You've got a lot of mobility as well, and yeah. I've just been told that Lyric is getting on his way in through eventually. He's just going to be doing a bit of a check to get into this. But ladies and gentlemen, we apologize once again for the tech issues. Of course, we are casting remote at the moment, and there's always going to be some things back and forth where we get caught on. And are you in the cast? Are they hearing you, brother? I've been told no. So what you guys can't hear at the moment is that Luke's testing, and you can't hear it. And so what means is I'll be talking over the top of Lyric until we get there. Folks, that's the life here. RA versus OMG will be easing you into this one. RA at the moment sitting on a bit of a win streak, but they just beat TT 2-1. They went to their first game 3. They didn't look good at all, let's be quite honest. And against OMG here, they need to really shore up that they are worthy of a playoff team. OMG are 1-7, and it ain't looking too good for this team. They're sitting down in the bottom echelon with Rogue Warriors. And now we find out if RA can kind of prove themselves here in this series. Again, I'm not going to apologize, but I'm going to let you know that we are working on getting Lyric into this call, so I'll take you into the bit of a solo cast to kick things off as RA enter the Rift. Now, we already talked about FoFo and Leyan, how impactful they are, and Lyric, welcome to the Rift, big boy.
You know, I really hope a lot of my tests got picked up on broadcast because, yeah, that would have been really funny. And I bet that was actually really hard for you to keep talking while still hearing me simultaneously.
It was. I kept apologizing. I felt like it was the right course of action. I was like, I could hear you in my ear, and I thought, I'm going to apologize for myself and for everyone else, apparently, just in case. So, hey, welcome, sir. We had a really quick pick a ban, of course, with the technical issues. We're halfway through it. Set me up for the compositions because I think I did a pretty poor job. I want you to walk me through RA and what you see in front of you and how this kind of lands out.
I think both comps are really interesting because you've indexed into team fighting, I'd say, dynamics on both, right? We have double frontline coming out from RA. We have a pretty good scaling AD carry. We have a lot of damage in mid-jungle. And then you move over to OMG side, it's the same. You have pseudo double frontline, Aatrox, Gragas, even the Olaf running in, a very early game oriented mid with a scaling AD carry. So I think these compositions will interact very similarly. Okay. RA have a lot more reliable engage though, which I like quite a bit, as well as the range coming out from the Nidalee. So big fan of RA's comp. OMG, I do feel like it needs to get going a bit early on because their frontline isn't as potent as what RA has put together.
Okay, I like the potency discussion because especially since the bottom lane, that's already started. Hung going forward, and there's your reliable engage right there. From the Alistar at level 1, Eric flashes in though at iBoy, trying to outplay this second skin one more time. One more auto and he finds it. And immediately, you're right, OMG's comp don't look too good no more.
And just really good play coming out from RA. And me and you didn't get to set expectations, right? I think we know. I think the fans know. You look up at the score lines. You look at their placements in the league. RA are 5-3. OMG is 1-7. This is a pretty clear-cut favorite in terms of RA. We're going to jump right into the replay. Level 1, Hung just having the confidence to flash in with the Pulverize. Instantly, iBoy following up with his flash as well. And they just take him down.
As we come back, and now, after that bottom lane just explodes, you have a Kaisa who's 1-0-1. It truly begins, and against a Sivir, right, when Kaisa has so much lane pressure, pickaxe now picked up. This feels like a bit of a disaster, and it looks like Arky is going to try and bring it back to an equilibrium, now hovering around the bottom side.
I really want to see what both teams do in terms of their mid-jungle, right, because both compositions are very mid-jungle focused. You don't have much setup coming out from our A's mid-jungle, so it's going to be very skill-dependent. But if they can get onto Wuming before Aki shows up, Wuming will just be dead. But OMG, since it does also bring the CC on top of the burst, is the one that I would favor.
The burst will come out here, but Leyan going to set it up immediately. Spear connects as well. Hung comes in, but doesn't go for the headbutt pulverize. Used the flash before in the previous engage. Wuming holds onto his, but Leyan still bursts him out enough to give FoFo more lane pressure.
And now it's going to force Wuming to use that TP, right? Because FoFo's building up a big wave. He can just shove that into turret if he so pleases. So Wuming forced to use that. It is going to give FoFo a really nice reset timing as well, as, you know, he's sitting on a ton of gold having that 30 CS. So I really like the pressure gain coming out from RA, even if it didn't turn into any kills.
Gives the CS lead, right? Big shove here as well, as FoFo now at 34 CS. Wuming should be able to clear out the majority of this wave and catch up, but it's about 5 CS differential as he's waiting in the bush. Wuming's walking to his death lyric, now burns a flash. It's too late though. It's solo kill territory with a beautiful bait.
The brush cheese coming from FoFo. And I'm curious, it seemed to me like Wuming was walking in there to potentially try and stop FoFo's back, but I mean, as you see, the minion wave was massive. FoFo's there, utilizes his flash. Another kill in favor of Rare Atom.
And 2 lanes just going down the drain, right? You know, when you already talked about like the engage potential and what RA can do with a comp that works similarly to OMG, it feels like this early game very much under wraps, under control, and now for OMG, their avenues of success are very much limited here in these lanes.
That's always the worst thing, right? When you draft two compositions that play very differently, if one comp gets ahead, even if it's a pretty big lead, at least there's one specialized area you can index into to get back in the game, right? Like if you're playing a 1-3-1 comp against a teamfight comp, or if you're playing poke against teamfight, there's always an area where you will be stronger. But when you have two comps that are very similar in terms of when they spike and how they play out these fights, it's only going to feel harder for OMG.
And it feels like now it's very obvious that OMG are going to be struggling to find avenues. Aki moving towards the mid lane at 5 minutes, but will he get anything? Wards to be placed down, ganks to be taken. Now looking for FoFo. He doesn't have a flash, but he's level 6. Relentless Pursuit there. Scatterwake does connect, and Aki with the follow-up undertow. There is a culling in the back pocket, though. Under turret, Aki 1, and no. The second doesn't come through as Leyan to weave the spear. The javelin toss close enough, but that is success for OMG.
And that's what we talked about, where for OMG, their mid-jungle, it's a lot easier to operate, right? You have the slow, oh my god, Wuming.
This is a mistake by Leyan. Flashes away, teleport burn just in case Aki comes back in.
You have the slows to utilize from the axes of Aki. If Wuming can hit the scout of the week, it should almost always turn into a kill on one of these members. So I would say, even though it still is skill shot reliant, it is easier to execute just for the fact that you are bringing both soft and hard CC. But still, RA are going to be the ones who are able to take the Drake from the bot lane prile that they've garnered themselves.
Yeah, Eric and Cold won't even go near it, right? They're still backs against the turret, and iBoy and Hung helped that one out. So first objective of the game going down to RA as we expected. We did see a response in the mid lane, so I'm glad that OMG aren't just getting shut out in all avenues. But FoFo comes back to lane. He pushes to the turret plate anyway, and he's still up. As that's a bit of a flash burn from Hung. Tries to force the engage, but really nice spell shield from Eric to negate.
And now the ball is still in RA's court. The next thing we're looking at, right, is the 8-minute mark. That is when the Herald will spawn. You expect RA should be the ones who are able to pick it up. They have the bot lane that can get these waves under turret and then make that rotation first. The one thing OMG have going for them is that they do have Prio in the top side, but with the Bramble Vest now coming out for Cube, as you can see, CS is even. He can pretty much just completely ignore News Aatrox.
Well, up on the top side, you know, that's something we haven't really been talking about, right? But the fact that Cube going almost even in CS feels really nice in this matchup. Something that we've seen quite a lot recently with tanks coming back into that top lane, with Aatrox kind of being like a basic response to Sion. Cube doing okay here, and you know, a lot of the time we see him around the objectives having more impact as that front to back, that big beefy tank that adds the unstoppable onslaught to add some CC.
And I think that was always the case. I don't even think this is necessarily any changes that are really making this meta. Tanks have always been able to absorb the early pressure from both fighters, bruisers, and carries in the top lane. You've always had such an easy way to itemize in the early game with plated steel caps, you know, before Ninja Tabbies and then the Bramble Vest. It was always a question of, well, are you itemizing more for your lane and going for that? Or are you going to go straight towards a Bomby Cinder or, you know, whatever other tank mythics you want to buy and go towards that first and be more of a team player?
It feels like the option definitely being to the former is RA using, you know, yet another lane advantage, and that was mid this time to help get the Herald. Not sure about the reset in the top side, but there you go. Second objective of the game. RA still really pushing with this advantage, and you note that Leyan, going back to his jungle now, he's at a point where he's about 10 CS up, couple of camps over Aki. He's backing now with the Herald advantage, and we should see a very early Night Harvester coming for this Nidalee jungle.
And it should be expected, right? When two of your most prominent lanes get advantages on their own very early on, they're consistently pushing in. You look at CS leads in both mid and bot, it's giving Leyan a lot of room to work with. And now they get the objective on the top side. You have camps spawning on the bottom side of the map. You can see his Krugs are going to be coming up soon. We're going to start seeing vision control bot side coming out for RA. Maybe they set up another gank on bot, and you're just waiting for that next Drake to come up.
2 minutes 30 until the fact, but Leyan going to be spotted out in a ward here. Does it change the dive? Well, Javelin Toss may as he clears control and then just backs away. At this point, OMG's bottom lane still under so much pressure, and I know we talked about comps being similar, but it does feel like a nice avenue in the late game is to allow Eric, you know, to get that 400 CS, those 3-4 items, and be a bit of a factor to give OMG some success.
He really is their pretty much the insurance in their composition, right?
Yeah.
He's going to be the one dealing all the damage in the late game. The problem is, even when we get to a point where Kaisa and Sivir are both on 3 or 4 items, I don't think Eric will kill RA's frontline faster then the carries of RA are able to take down OMGs, right? Because Gragas isn't actually a very tanky champion. You don't have any like resistant steroids in your kit. You know, you do have the W where sure you are taking some reduced damage, but it's not the same as the likes of a Sion or an Alistar ultimate, right? So I feel like the front line will be much more durable for RA, so they should always be able to do more even as we get later into this game.
And when you have a dedicated solo laner that's a front line as well, you're always going to get those items faster, right? You know, 1-2 items ahead of the support tank, so it does feel like you're dead on with that one. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, while we're having a bit of a chat, that's a lot more gold over to FoFo as well. I like the Herald placement, considering that he was still 20 CS up in this lane, and that extra gold should just push him towards Mythic, towards a point where he becomes unsustainable to sit in the side lane with him as well.
I feel like we're getting to the point where, for OMG, because you are very far behind at this point, again, not only in terms of gold, but just the state of the map, who has control where. I think for OMG, you're going to have to give up some pressure somewhere, which will probably be bot. On a reset play, have Cold go mid as Hung goes in.
He saw that coming as well, but it's way too late. Swift sends Hung closer towards Eric and the turret, but takes limited damage. And yet again, another kill goes down to this bottom lane to Hung as well, who's 2-0-1.
And a lot of that's just coming, too, from the brush control coming out from RA. You look on the mini-map, they have two control wards in the bottom side brushes. Cold walks a bit too far forward, doesn't respect Hung's engage coming out. And this is just a slow bleed coming out from OMG.
It really is, and all that Aki can do to try and mitigate the pressure is focus towards mid lane, but Scatter the Weak doesn't connect. FoFo dodges that one out really easily, and he just has to sit and watch, shows his position is going towards the bottom side. iBoy and Hung still don't care. They've got some turret plates to take, and Leyan already starting the dragon.
And Cold's going to posture for the contest. We do see that Aki's on his way over, but both of RA's bot lane is here, and we see the FoFo already pushed in mid. So I don't think OMG should be able to do anything, but News backing, and both soul laners of OMG have TP.
He just walks in and steals it.
Well,
I mean, that was it.
Is that a steal? Do we really consider that a steal when he can just walk up, say hello, just pop his smite? No smite from the side of RA. No zoning. They're not trying to put any damage out on him. They just kind of let him walk in and take it.
I guess it's a high and buy. You know, it's kind of just like walking through a bit of a story about Bill Murray. He walks up to people in cafes, you know, eats some of their fries, looks at them and says, "No one will believe you." And it felt like that was a real Bill Murray moment coming in from Archie.
That was a Bill Murray moment. You're right.
God. Oh, well. Even taking the dragon there, you know, it's something for OMG when they were falling so far behind, still down 2,000 gold, but getting the Mountain Souls and bonus stats to buff up the Gragas, who, as you said, won't be as tanky. So, you know, you'll definitely take that as goodbye, Cold. Get back over the wall. And we come back to Summoner's Rift, where, at this point, let's just take stock that Rare Atom are moving to those first items, and Wuming flash to the side. I don't think it's worth it, Lyric, because FoFo going to get the kill. With the culling, putting it up to 2-1.
Really nice rotation coming out from Cube, and this was actually the play I was hoping that OMG would be able to make. You have Gragas leave lane, you accept a bit of pressure on your bottom side turret, because look, your turret's already getting chunked out 2v2 regardless, so send Cold mid. Nu has been pushing in top side almost this whole game. Even if you don't have him completely roam towards mid, have him hide in Fog of War, put some pressure onto FoFo, because that's where your CC chain is, and it feels like it's one of the only areas where you can really exploit RA right now, because that bottom lane has gotten out to such a great start, and because Cube's on Sion, you're really not going to get much out of looking to gank or dive that top lane.
Because we'll watch again, FoFo's just running away with this, poking down Wuming at every chance.
And we see that, yeah, they just don't expect the Sion to be here. He was just showing on top wave previously, but with the Sion ultimate, he's obviously very easily able to traverse the map.
Uh-oh. It's happening again. Wuming is just getting cyberbullied. Good Scatter the Weak, though, but FoFo's damage, remember, with Essence Reaver, he's huge, and somehow Hung keeps taking all the kills. He's on a spree. He's 3-1, and 3-0-1, excuse me. And they'll take down the turret alongside with it as the plates fall down.
And this is just something you always have to remember, right? That your lane gets so much harder when your side lanes or other lanes are losing. Even if RA weren't taking advantage of these gank and dive timers, even just them hiding in Fog of War, you look at the vision control all through bot side, Wuming would always have to respect and play under his turret. So what's happening to Wuming right now is really a byproduct of the rest of the map especially.
Yeah, it's tumbling for OMG, and there you go, another turret. At least OMG can get the Rift Herald, but look at what they're still losing across this map. Turret goes down to the bottom side. That solo turret gold going over to iBoy. 2 turrets to 0 in fact as well. So by the time this goes down, waves will be pushed out. Resets will come through from Rare Atom, and even trying to get Cube up on the top side, but not too much damage being done as Cold goes in. But Cube happy to absorb the pressure for now, and he's got wave clear. So he will be able to deal adjacently with this Rift Herald play.
And I think Aki should just drop this now. It looks like they're going to back off, because the problem with getting Rift Herald when you are behind, and they are now 5k gold behind at 15 minutes, it's very hard to create openings where you are able to like push in side lanes, move as a unit together. Oh my god, you're right. This is cyberbullying.
Man, Hug has real flash again as well, and the fact that Wuming is so low, 2 levels down from FoFo too, it just makes this so hard to watch. Hung being so aggressive, so great with this Alistar pick, and honestly, I think Hung's having the time of his life. That's why I talk about engaged champions, is he's actually found new. Spear lands, new at level 11. He's probably the most well-off person in this team, but won't find any further follow-up as Leyan takes the ward as he backs out, continues to clear vision, and he's actually not backing out. He's got Night Harvester and feels confident sticking around.
And when we take a look at items across the board, right? Nothing out of the ordinary, everything expected. Some Essence Reavers, Lucian, and Sivir. We see the Kraken Slayer on the Kaisa, double Gale Force on OMG's top side. So everything going stock and standard so far. And you know, when we talk about stock and standard, it feels like this is the kind of sadly expected result for OMG. Not only this split, right, but over the past few years, the OMG organization has just really struggled to get going to what we've seen of former glory in past seasons, like season 3 and 4.
That's right, we remember them, you know, on the world stage, even though, like, people didn't hit the expectations there, rather the organization didn't. I think we also reiterate that 2017, spring, summer, playoff splits for OMG, when they had SMLZ and Cold in this bottom lane, and since then, it's been so disappointing. Even 2020, when I thought it would be great, OMG fell to the expected result, as in this game, RA really showing up as the team to beat, and the gold lead continues to grow, using the pressure. Aki will, however, put the Rift Herald down, while Dragon is spawning, trying to create a pressure point, but even then, can RA contest? Because with New coming down, it is going to be the play from Cube to roam as well, with the Sion ult available.
And the problem is, you look at it, right? Because we talked about how OMG can't find any windows to make these plays. They actually had to lose things to find these windows as FoFo's going in.
That culling hurts. Too bad. Headbutt pulverized. The train rolls through, flushed away from by the Olaf, and Aki, as he makes his escape, has to be pitiful, because RA take every single part of that fight, and OMG had no business being nearby as the third dragon rather, goes down to RA.
So let's take stock of what was gained and lost by both sides, right? RA lost nothing. They didn't even lose mid-turret. OMG lost a full wave top.
Making the engage. Chili Smite flashes over the wall. OMG, though, can't follow up, not willing to, with Leyan over the side. So that was a commit on the pick. But still, FoFo manages to get out alive. As Leyan, will he do the same? Flashes away from Cold and burning a couple of these summoners. That's something.
I think we're at the point where RA know they're so far ahead that they're allowed to get a little bit or a lot of bit ahead of themselves, and OMG won't really be able to punish. It's one of these things where we look at where Leyan is now, but Hung's following up.
Yeah, Aki sticks around, thinking he can do something versus Leyan. Hung's there, Cold goes over the wall. He stopped the blast cone there, and Red Buff was successfully taken as Wuming. Takes a massive shot. In comes FoFo, who dodges away before a scatter of the week can even be thought of. iBoy's coming in red hot as well onto Eric, and this is a collector Kraken Slayer Kaisa. As Aki tagged again there. The white flag went up at about 5 minutes into the game. It goes up yet again at 19 minutes in.
And we see now that FoFo has the Gale Force, right? And that item is just so oppressive, especially when you are ahead this much. You're always able to get in and find the assassination on targets you need. We're going to go back to this replay, though. Really nice headbutt pulverize after the culling coming out from FoFo. And again, we just see that the members of RA are about one whole item ahead of OMG at this point. And when we were hitting on earlier, hey, RAF high damage, they have a tankier front line. Hung's been having a phenomenal game. These are just not the plays you can be looking for as OMG. Sadly, we are getting into the territory, and we actually have been in that territory for a long time, where it's been all about cheese plays for OMG, right? It's about looking for brush plays. It's about hoping RA makes mistakes, which they have been. It looks like they've been trying to give OMG some openings with how far forward some of the members have been playing, like we saw Leyan in the previous scenario, but OMG now are just too far behind.
And you know, the problem is as well that RA always have that outplay factor, right? Like, the champions in their kit, or rather, the champions that they've played here, in their kit, they have a relentless pursuit, right? Leyan in Cougar form, iBoy with the killer instinct. There's a lot of outplay potential and kind of that flashiness that comes through the comp we're seeing. So RA always have that ability to outplay the pick that we're trying to see OMG make, and every time OMG try and make that pick, they use things like the flash that's still down from cold. Eric used the heal last time as well. Aki with his summoner down, and OMG trying once again here. Lyric, the cheesiness continues, but they're just really trying to land some of these key abilities.
At this point, OMG is just trying to deny vision control coming out from RA.
The scout of the week. Leyan goes golden, though that's a Zhonya's hourglass done. Eric sends out the boomerang play, but the explosive cast doesn't connect. Cold. That wasn't great as the culling used on the Gragas once again, and FoFo goes forward. Unleash power taken. This 2-item Lucian doesn't care, and you know what? Baron's up. Alright, just go for it. Why not?
Yeah, that explosive cast came out right as he was pouncing in his Cougar form, so of course he got hit away from the rest of OMG's members. RA gonna start the Baron, but I don't think they're able to do this. OMG should be able to force them off.
Maybe waiting for OMG to come into the river where Cube is waiting with his ultimate and an item and a half strong Sion. They back away, as you mentioned, and looks like just back timing here with the health bars exhausted. So OMG delayed the play, I guess you could say, but still, we're just kind of playing with tricks right now for this RA lineup. And it is good to see. You know, at the start of this lyric, I was mentioning that against TT, RA did not look convincing. I think it was one of their worst series. It was their first game 3, and TT brought them to the brink of destruction. So it is good to see RA performing this well against a bottom tier team like OMG and looking convincing to kind of play with their food.
I agree, because that was going to be one of the things we were going to highlight in our opening segment, right, was the fact that not even just their last series against TT, but a lot of RA's wins have been very unconvincing. They've been very slow as well. RA have been a team in recent weeks that have been fine just picking the scaling comp, going toe-to-toe later in the game around things like Soul Point or Elder Dragon fights. It's been very sloppy, very back and forth. And for a team that does have such a good record, we need to see them start getting more, I'd say, consistent keys to victory if we want to consider RA a team that is contending for the LPL Spring Championship.
And I think overall it's really disappointing for their fan base when they see these scaling compositions, right? Because when you have FoFo who's joining the roster and essentially changing places with Zika, like FoFo has a lot of champions in his pool that enable his skill expression. We talk Zoe, we talk
LeBlanc.
Yone. Yeah, LeBlanc, right? Like, FoFo has one of the most exciting champion pools, what I associate with, you know, people like Rookie and Knight. So,
you know,
it's nice to see him on the Lucian.
If I remember correctly, because I was coaching in the LMS when he made his debut, he made his debut game on LeBlanc when she wasn't exactly meta. He pulled her out as one of the counters to Azir. And yeah, he just completely popped off and took over that game. So he's always been a player that does have a very explosive champion pool. Not to say that he doesn't play these scaling mages well, because he's also always historically been a player who does pull out the Azir, can play the Cassiopeia, played Ryze when it was strong, because, you know, Ryze always finds a way into the meta at one point every year.
Yeah, I think it's something that, you know, we're kind of happy to see him here on today. And just watching FoFo play this Lucian lane out well. Dragon has gone down in the meanwhile, and we've actually just seen RA start up the Baron without a jungler nearby. Now it's 6,000. Aki's over the wall. They have vision control, but OMG keeping this tight as Aki has flash, ready to steal it. Are they going to 50-50 it? I don't know, RA, if that's worth it. But still, Cube keeps aggro, and never mind.
So the thing, they're being disciplined, right? They're doing the Baron because they're trying to pull OMG out. They're trying to find the turn and get the fight. I like that they're not hard committing to the Baron, because that would be one of the situations where you are giving an OMG a chance to actually get back into the game, especially if it would end up being a situation where only Aki flashes over the wall, he steals Baron and he dies. You still have Baron on 4 members. RA don't have the greatest way of really pushing down turrets and sieging against OMG's comp. Like, the siege isn't bad by any means, right? We have Nidalee and we have Kaisa, but you do have a Sivir and a Syndra on the opposite side if they had Baron, who would just be able to negate anything RA did for a few minutes.
Yeah, really good wave clear, even though they're so far down in items. I like that you bring that up, especially since now that Eric has the Kraken Slayer and the Essence Reaver, so 2-item Sivir pretty much clears waves pressing W. At this point, Aki actually going to get caught out, but Hung trying to force out the Ragnarok makes it that much easier as well to negate something like a Baron play. For this point as well, for Rare Adam, also want to point out that, you know, we're an item and a half in. You mentioned the item discrepancy before. Note that iBoy is 3 items strong now with a rapid fire cannon, just as I was hyping up Eric, getting towards his second item and a BF sword on top.
Hysterics, there's nothing to hype up about. This reference might be before your time, but it's just a Sivir comp, bro. Just a Sivir comp.
Maybe it is before my time. I'm a bit of a zoomer, and that's exactly what iBoy is as well. Quick, easy kill. Wuming dead for about 40 seconds, and now RA can play that little pinchy game once again.
And now they're just going to turn back towards the Baron, try to pull OMG in. I still don't expect them to pull the trigger unless Hung is able to successfully zone off Aki, but FoFo going to turn.
Yeah, he is. Cullen comes out to start as well. Ragnarok's being pulled on out. Baron still being aggroed down. Yu in a great position to pitch down, but FoFo just goes back over the wall. This Aatrox doesn't commit over himself. Even with Flash, doesn't want to get the dunk at 2K. Aki trying to wait for the Flash. It's still being hit in. 50-50 time. Aki doesn't get the steal, though. It's a close call, but Leyan has the level advantage. And now for RA, they want to bring the fight to its knees. This double Flash. Cube absorbing the pressure on the top side, but iBoy comes back in, smacks on down, and somehow OMG are winning the fight. Cube's gone into zombie. Eric goes forward, and RA lose 3 members, Lyric. Somehow win the fight in the end, as FoFo says, no, that's where it stops.
And in the words of Munchables Hysterics, we take those for OMG. Sure, the Baron still goes over to RA. They still have a 7k gold lead, but any small mistakes you can punish from the side of RA, you 100% take it. If you can extend this game long enough to where we get Elder coming out and then we come to a smite fight for Elder, it really can be anyone's game. So OMG just buying themselves a few more minutes, though they will still have Baron on 2 members, and I definitely think having it on FoFo especially will be key.
So how do you play that Baron optimally, right? Because FoFo on the side lane, I feel like we're going to see a replay, so maybe I'll hold on that thought. Walk me through how OMG were actually able to get something from this play.
Ooh, the Boomerang Blade from Eric actually is what got FoFo and Hung so low, as well as, you know, they were just tanking all that Baron damage. FoFo did go over the wall, but as you highlighted, Leyan was able to get the objective, but so many key members of RA are chunked before this fight even started. They tried to go over the wall, they tried to zone OMG out. OMG, even though their front line isn't as potent as what RA has brought to the table, it is still a front line. They were able to absorb the culling, and then OMG just able to keep pushing forward once they go over the wall, and all of RA's key ultimates and abilities are down.
Really nice to see OMG using some part of their comp well in that tense situation, so I'll applaud them for that, but I want to come back to what I was saying before. You said, FoFo, it's really good to see the Baron on this Lucian. How do you play this optimally with FoFo in such a commanding lead and now using the culling to push these waves and get Rare Adam in an even better position?
It's actually just how you're seeing it on your screen. The great thing about having it on the Lucian is that he's able to safely sit by himself in a lane. He has the mobility to escape ganks. He can pretty much sit 1v1 against either Wuming or Nu. He will be completely fine. And then you're just going to rotate this pressure back and forth.
Well, bringing in a bit of cavalry, but I really like that you mentioned how FoFo sits in the lane by himself. 3 members were drawn there from OMG. It opens up bottom and then the repetition going back towards the mid lane. Inners both down here in these lanes. Top side is hard pushing as well, that draws Wuming's attention. iBoy goes back to the bottom lane, and you can see right now, RA only focus on these 2 sides of the map. FoFo changing gears and just getting more gold advantage, putting more into their pocket in the perfect timing to set up towards the Cloud Soul, which should be absolutely free.
I think exactly. They're going to be able to take that one right now. We did see FoFo start heading up, but instead they did spot out Cold and Eric on the minimap. It looks like they were potentially looking to set up some kind of cheese play on them, but instead are going to just turn towards the mid lane.
Oh, he wants to do
I also need to stop using the term cheese. Turning mid and engaging Hysterics is not cheese.
No, it's not.
There are a lot of things that are cheese, but that is not one of them.
There are a lot of cheese. You're right. You know,
yeah.
you
Gouda,
probably just,
pepper jack, Swiss.
Why do you think of Gouda as the first cheese?
I don't know. Actually, pepper jack was the first one in my mind, and I would say that is one of my favorite cheeses, but Gouda just kind of rolls off the tongue nicely.
It does. Also from How I Met Your Mother is Aki actually getting spotted out, but OMG going to turn this play. iBoy now in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have any summoners available. Use the Killer Instinct, but Colt's here to bop him into the air. OMG with a great pick considering that everything was going wrong. That's one for the board.
A very sly play coming from them. We did see Aki just waiting over the wall. He did see iBoy previously showing on the wave about a second before that, and Vision was down. It's actually... OMG only have 3 wards right now on the map, and they are on the bot side jungle.
Back. Ragnarok, I think, was using last play, or rather, Aki used it just then, excuse me, covered up by my own overlay. Aki goes down, jungle for the AD carry, but iBoy has a lesser timer now, and Cube will keep pushing this top side. So just when you think OMG finds something, caught out by their own demise. And
game still just slowly moving forward, and you know, I just want to bring this back a little bit. another little tangent. You know what I truly miss, and I've said this before, I think I said it last year, I miss Banner of Command, and seeing Sion is what reminds me of that, because we used to always get Banner of Command mid-Sion. I think a lot of fans hated it. I know for a fact all pro players hated it, but it was just such a fun strategy to watch. Sion, you know, base very early on, get Banner of Command around the level 6 mark, and you pretty much always have a guaranteed pushing wave. You get 3 of them, you have 3 pushing waves on the map. What can the enemy team do?
You know, the biggest thing for me on top of the banner command, when ZZ Rot still existed, and you got the banner, and then you added ZZ Rot, and it was like a side lane. I think there was even a point in solo queue that didn't go into competitive play where we saw a Yorick, you know, pick up like the Trinity Force first or the Black Cleaver, then he'd go ZZ Rot Banner of Command, put the Maiden in another lane, and we had like 2 lanes of Yorick just taking over. So I miss it as well. Non-interactive gameplay that the fans hated, but was just so oppressive and so annoying to deal with.
It was just so funny, right? It was so funny that things like this were able to come out.
Oh my god, Wuming flashes and almost dies anyway. The culling is blowing apart the whole roster of OMG. 1 lane down and RA push up yet again with the aggression. FoFo is unmatchable here on 4 items with the Infinity Edge's latest completion.
He's just hitting like an absolute truck right now. No member can go toe-to-toe with him. One thing I will say is the silver lining for OMG, right? They have made it to the Promised Lands. And the Promised Lands are when Elder spawns. Because as long as you can get that one down to a 50-50 smite, which, let's remember, it's never 50-50. Leyan is 2 levels higher. His smite damage is higher. Even a lot of key abilities, RA will be the ones on top of the objective itself. Assuming this game goes that long, they will be dealing more damage. But if Aki can steal that one, it gives OMG another potential window where maybe then they can force a fight, they can find a pick and get back into this game. Right now, not looking so likely, but I want to keep the hope alive.
He's going to survive, especially for the gank. Headbutt Pulverize not going to force out the Ragnarok, that's what they want, but meanwhile they're going on to keep him in the mid lane while Wuming is just dead again. Leyan sets it up with the help of FoFo, and now this summonerless Lucian will keep on going forward with the rest of RA. Just remember that Baron has respawned, and iBoy even baiting in. Goes invisible, the flash here from Cube, a 2-man knock-up, and RA want to end it here. It's a flash burnt from Aki to get the hell out of there, while RA have no intent of disappearing themselves.
Exactly, RA have a wave, they can just keep pushing forward. They will definitely be able to get this inhibitor, and they might even just continue to look to siege down and look for the end. They can poke with the Nidalee spears, they can throw out the Kaisa W, they can even dive them if Hung finds an opening.
FoFo is so far ahead, it doesn't matter. This guy is going frontline into an Aatrox. The first Nexus turret drops down as Cube ready to absorb. New knocked into the air. FoFo goes up again, almost kills the Aatrox.
Look at those crits, Hysterics.
It's too much to deal with, and RA know when it's time to leave. The Nexus turret will be enough, and they don't even need to reset here, Lyric. Straight to the Baron and take it yet another objective to get closer to ending game 1.
And you even look at Leyan's mana, he just doesn't care. He just knows that we are so far ahead. We are able to do this. Aki is up. Aki does have no flash, though. So if he did want to steal this, he would have to run directly into the pit and to look for that smite himself, but they know they're in no position to do that. RA will get this one for free.
Yes, they will. We back away. It's 12,000 gold, and, you know, this has just been pretty good from RA from start to finish, and the fact that OMG is still alive, kind of showing the wave clear you mentioned before, also showing how close they are in these fights. We're just having a look at the bottom right-hand side of our screen as the spear was insane. That's a 4-item Nidalee.
Great spear and great flash coming out from FoFo as well. They see that he steps too far forward to look for the scout of the week, instantly gets popped. And, I mean, there's not too much more to the story of this game. The story was in the first 5 minutes.
Oh, Cold gets half health, Leyan. He's throwing out spears like old school Nidalee. Cold, run! Oh, man, he's going to die if he gets hit anymore. You're lucky it's not a Luden's Echo, Luden's Tempest, excuse me, because that splash damage would take him down. Leyan is really showing us Season 7, Season 6, Lyric, when Nidalee was just one tap.
There were many, many seasons where Nidalee was, even when we go back to the day of mid lane Nidalee in Season 3, so Season 3, Season 4, if I do remember correctly.
Oh my god. And when you're a team behind that has no vision control, just seeing a spear come out of nowhere is the most haunting thing. Hung even pushing up now as well. There's on the hunt, but FoFo's going to culling into a full team. Cold, not tanky at all. He's still frontlining. FoFo doesn't care. Cold running forward, goes for the body slam to go gold. A 2-man knock-up, and yep, there comes Zelda, the execute down, and OMG just walk into their death, knowing the Grim Reaper's there waiting.
And yeah, really nice play coming out from Leyan, FoFo, and iBoy in that fight. Hung as well, doing the crucial engage. And RA, a very convincing game one.
Convincing the right word, a smashing, and as Nigel Thornberry would kind of state this one as well, Lyric. Game one in the bag for RA. Things looked really, really clean. Maybe a 35-minute win, but it was definitely over at 10 minutes in the game.
And that's the kind of excellence we need to continue to see from RA, as we'd stated previously, if they want to be considered a contender for, you know, the LPL spring title. I think they're in a pretty good position because when you're on team side, a lot of your first thoughts are just about making it to the postseason, making it to the playoffs. The seeding doesn't matter too much. Sure, it is much better getting a higher seed, especially when we look at our format this split, when you can just skip that King of the Hill outright if you do get high enough. Sure. But if you can overcome that first barrier, if you're a team, you're looking to take it all. So you really do view it from the mindset of, well, I need to be good enough to beat everyone anyway, so it's not too big of a deal where I get placed in that ladder.
And I think it's really good because, you know, RA was a team that we had higher expectations for. Even though in their last match against TT, I was really sitting on that cusp of like 9th, 10th, maybe out of playoffs, if that's their performance level for the rest of the split. But it does show that one series is just an indication of, you know, I was going to say performance anxiety, but, you know, returning to the Rift after such a long break.
I feel like a big thing is also, you need to realize these teams play 16 series. That is so many games. You're playing numerous times a week. And sure, they were just coming off a break, but I feel like there's a lot into not overexerting yourself into certain matchups in certain weeks to avoid burnout. It's something where we've seen a lot of players, especially from teams like G2, talk about numerous times, even back in the day, thinking of players like Soaz and Xpeke, like, hey, not burning out in moments that really don't matter. So I think when a team has a one-off bad series, it's not up against the best team. I think you should just let it fly under the radar a little bit.
I think individual prep for teams is something that can really be talked about heavily. Like, you know, are you prepping for a team like TT when you know that they're bottom of the ladder? When you have, you know, like teams coming up, like just looking at their schedule, like, you know, FPX, IG, you know, V5, even though that's far away, you know, you're looking at core issues rather than individual prep for teams that are so low down.
You're focusing inward rather than outward, right? Rather than being like, hey, I'm going to devote this 2 hours to us studying TT's VODs as a group and doing this draft. You know, maybe we can have an analyst focus on that draft while we just focus this 2 hours on maybe doing another scrim block or more solo queue time, things along those lines. And, you know, just tying it all back to RA, they're still sitting in a comfortable position. They are heavily expected favorites here today. It is cool that we're seeing FoFo index into a lot more aggressive picks. The Lucian coming out today, he's already played that one before. He did bring out the Jace against TT. And it'll be cool to see if they do keep going in this very mid lane dominant play style.
Because it was mid lane winning outright. Like FoFo just destroyed Wuming with the help of Leyan in that early game. But it was also bot, you know, in the 2v2 that kind of set them up.
That's what I feel like. Like FoFo definitely did his job really good in the mid lane. We saw the pressure ganks coming out early from Leyan, like you stated. But that bot lane just hard winning outright 2v2 made it so hard for the rest of OMG to play.
It was a really hard early game from then on. OMG slammed out a 16,000 gold lead in the end, and RA made it look easy. We're going to go to a break.